Page 691, The Price of Nationalism. The last half of the 1800s can be called the Age of Nationalism. By harnessing national feeling, European leaders fought ruthlessly to create strong, unified nations. Under Otto von Bismarck, Germany emerged as Europe's most powerful empire, but at a considerable cost. In his 1870 diary, Crown Prince Friedrich wrote, Germany had once been admired as a nation of thinkers and philosophers, poets and artists, idealists and enthusiasts. But now the world saw Germany as a nation of conquerors and destroyers, to which no pledged word, no treaty is sacred. We are neither loved nor respected, but only feared. Proceed to page 692. Blood and Iron. Prussian legislators waited restlessly for Otto von Bismarck to speak. He wanted them to vote for more money to build up the army. Liberal members opposed the move. Bismarck rose and dismissed their concerns. Germany does not look to Prussia's liberalism, but to her power. The great questions of the day are not to be decided by speeches and majority resolution. That was the mistake of 1848 and 1849. But by blood and iron. Otto von Bismarck, 1862. Building a German nation. Otto von Bismarck delivered his blood and iron speech in 1862. It set the tone for his future policies. Bismarck was determined to build a strong, unified German state with Prussia at its head, taking initial steps towards unity. In the early 1800s, German-speaking people lived in a number of small and medium-sized states, as well as in Prussia and the Austrian Habsburg Empire. Napoleon's invasions unleashed new forces in these territories. Napoleon raided German lands. Between 1806 and 1812, Napoleon made important territorial changes in German-speaking lands. He annexed lands along the Rhine River of France. He resolved the Holy Roman Empire by forcing the Emperor of Austria to agree to the lesser title of king. He also organized a number of German states into the Rhine Confederation. At first, some Germans welcomed the French emperor as a hero with enlightened modern policies. He encouraged freeing the serfs, made trade easier, and abolished laws against Jews. However, not all Germans appreciated Napoleon and his changes. As people fought to free their lands from French rule, they began to demand a unified German state. Napoleon's defeat did not resolve the issue. At the Congress of Vienna, Metternich pointed out that a united Germany would require dismantling the government of each German state. Instead, the peacemakers created the German Confederation, a weak alliance headed by Austria. Economic changes promote unity. In the 1830s, Prussia created an economic union called the Zollverein. It dismantled tariff barriers between many German states. Still, Germany remained politically fragmented. In 1848, liberals meeting in the Frankfurt Assembly again demanded German political unity. They offered the throne of a united German state to Friedrich William IV of Prussia. The Prussian ruler, however, rejected the notion of a throne offered by the people. Bismarck unites Germany. Otto von Bismarck succeeded where others had failed. Bismarck came from Prussia's Junker class, made up of conservative landowning nobles. Bismarck first served Prussia as a diplomat in Russia and France. In 1862, King William I made him prime minister. Within a decade, the new prime minister had become chancellor, or the highest official of a monarch, and had used his policy of blood and iron to unite German states under Prussian rule. Master of Realpolitik. Bismarck's success was due in part to his strong will. He was a master of Realpolitik, or realistic politics, based on the needs of the state. In the case of Realpolitik, power was more important than principles. Although Bismarck was the architect of German unity, he was not really a German nationalist. His primary loyalty was to the Hohenzollerns, the ruling dynasty of Prussia who represented a powerful traditional monarchy. Through unification, he hoped to bring more power to the Hohenzollerns. Strengthening the army, as Prussia's prime minister, Bismarck first moved to build up the Prussian army. Despite his blood and iron speech, the liberal legislature refused to vote for funds for the military. In response, Bismarck strengthened the army with money that had been collected for other purposes. With a powerful, well-equipped military, he was then ready to pursue an aggressive foreign policy. Over the next decade, Bismarck led Prussia into 3 wars. Each war increased Prussia's prestige and power and paved the way for German unity. Prussia declares war with Denmark and Austria. Bismarck's first maneuver was to form an alliance in 1864 with Austria. Prussia and Austria then seized the provinces of Schleswig and Holstein from Denmark. After a brief war, Prussia and Austria liberated the 2 provinces and divided up the spoils. Austria was to administer Holstein, and Prussia was to administer Schleswig. In 1866, Bismarck invented an excuse to attack Austria. The Austro-Prussian War lasted just 7 weeks and ended in a decisive Prussian victory. Prussia then annexed or took control of several other North German states. Bismarck dissolved the Austrian-led German Confederation and created a new confederation dominated by Prussia. Austria and 4 other southern German states remained independent. Bismarck's motives, as always, were strictly political. Attempting to conquer Austria might have meant a long and risky war for Prussia. The picture ends at war and power. In 1866, Field Marshal Helmut von Moltke analyzed the importance of Prussia's war against Austria. Why, according to von Moltke, did Prussia go to war against Austria? Your primary source reads, "The War of 1866 was entered on not because the existence of Prussia was threatened, nor was it caused by public opinion and the voice of the people. It was a struggle, long foreseen and calmly prepared for, recognized as a necessity by the cabinet, not for territorial expansion, for an extension of our domain, or for the material advantage, but for an ideal end, the establishment of power. Not a foot of land was exacted from Austria. Its center of gravity lay out of Germany. Prussia's lay within it. Prussia felt itself called upon and strong enough to assume the leadership of the German races." Page 695. France declares war on Prussia. In France, the Prussian victory over Austria angered Napoleon III. A growing rivalry between the 2 nations led to the Franco-Prussian War of 1870. Germans recalled only too well the invasions of Napoleon I some 60 years earlier. Bismarck played up the image of the French menace to spur German nationalism. For his part, Napoleon III did little to avoid war, hoping to mask problems at home with military glory. Bismarck furthered the crisis by rewriting and then releasing to the press a telegram that reported on a meeting between King William I and the French ambassador. Bismarck's editing of the Ems dispatch made it seem that William I had insulted the Frenchman. Furious, Napoleon III declared war on Prussia, as Bismarck had hoped. A superior Prussian force, supported by troops from other German states, smashed the badly organized and poorly supplied French soldiers. Napoleon III, old and ill, surrendered within a few weeks. France had to accept a humiliating peace. Birth of the German Empire. Delighted by the victory over France, princes from the southern German states and the northern German Confederation persuaded William I of Prussia to take the title Kaiser, or Emperor. In January 1871, German nationalists celebrated the birth of the Second Reich, or Empire. They called it that because they considered it heir to the Holy Roman Empire. A constitution drafted by Bismarck set up a 2-house legislature. The Bundesrat, or upper house, was appointed by the rulers of the German state. The Reichstag, or lower house, was elected by universal male suffrage. Because the Bundesrat could veto any decisions of the Reichstag, real power remained in the hands of the emperor and his chancellor.